Yeah, what up, YouTube? I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible because it's one of those things that I felt I needed to talk about. I've been doing a lot of other things, so I haven't really been able to participate in the YouTube thing. Because as you know, right now there's a big movement pushing against ICE, and not only and well, there's a big movement pushing against ICE, and for the most part, a lot of people are excited about the fact that now it's getting some type of recognition. But I'm gonna be honest, it's never gonna get the type of recognition that everybody is seeking, which is on the level of B.L.M. Because if you don't understand about that movement, B.L.M, the way it started out, it really was about Black Lives Matter, and in some semblance of the matter, it still is about Black Lives Matter. But if you don't know, as far as the organization, there's a lot of division amongst that group. There's a lot of people that feel that the B.L.M movement is not what it used to be. That it's the message is no longer the equal the parties. The two parties, I'll say, it's supposed to be one party, but now that the parties have broken up, in some semblance of the word, there's a lot of discord amongst them, and that's just due to the fact that there's so many different messages. You got Black Lives Matter, you got transgender Black Lives Matter, and then you got all this other thing. Then you got an organization that puts B.L.M, but it has nothing to do with the group in particular. It's just, I don't know. I haven't really got into research on that. All I know is that their line of rhetoric don't align with the B.L.M movement. But like I said, that's not really what I want to talk about, because for anybody that knows me knows that I'm not pushing a B.L.M movement. As far as Black Lives Matter, that I do think I firmly believe that a Black life does matter. But as far as pushing anything on that edge, I would be a hypocrite. I won't say a hypocrite. It would be new, seeing that the fact that I don't push Black power and none of that. You know what I mean? Black excellence is one thing, but Black power I don't push. That's not my line of rhetoric. My alignment has never really been on that accord. As far as being African American or whatever, like, yeah, I can respond on that part because it's heritage. But as far as like, oh, everything about blacks, that's what I ride for. Nah, it's never been about that, and it's simply for the fact that it's, due to my affiliation and where I chose to, that's besides the point. The thing I really want to talk about is the fact that people are actually out there upset at the fact that B.L.M is participating in some of these ICE protests, which I foresaw a problem a long time ago when it came to those. It reminded me of a book that I had read a long time ago. It was Invasion of the Cockroach People or something like that. And they had the Hispanics out there protesting, and then a brother had came up to him and asked him like if they could join their protest in order to not only solidify an alliance but to grow the numbers. And then the guy, being extremely radical, was like, out of respect, no, you guys are doing your thing and we're pushing a whole different line over here. And it was understandable. Some people that read the book took it wrong, but it was understandable. Understand that there's sometimes you're going to do things that only pertain to you, and there's sometimes that you will be able to connect and get a positive message out there and make the message that much stronger, due to the fact that there's a lot of people involved in this particular thing. Now, this particular situation, I don't see nothing wrong with certain members of B.L.M being involved in this movement. Everybody right now is piggybacking off of everybody. It's plain and simple. If you went to the protests, as far as the ICE one, you'll notice that it got paper coverage. You know what I mean? The second one, I know there was like a local newspaper or something that decided to that's gonna write an article. But as far as like newsworthy, as far as like major cameras out there, it wasn't like that. And that's why I was telling people when I first spoke about it. Right now, it's like this chick Candace Owens. I really disagree with so many things she says, as far as her being an intelligent Black woman that she is. As far as the fact that she tries to overlook a lot of things, and I see it like her outlook is positivity, but I think she throws on she throws on blinders to try to disregard what took place in the past, and we should move forward. And in any case, is you should move forward. But I just, there's a part that she said, as far as like securing the vote, that we are easily angered, I would say. I'm paraphrasing, but basically that we're easy to pump up as a people, because you say a few things, she said racism, and people want to react. It's just that we just roll off of it because it's been ingrained in our upcoming in our upbringing. So we hear words like that, and we respond to it. But the thing I understand is, like, all the people that are up in arms with the B.L.M movement, and not even all B.L.M, but some of the B.L.M movement being involved in these particular protests. It's not the looters. People are like, well, look at the B.L.M movement. All of them are white, and they're the looters and this and that. That was a small group. For the most part, protests have been calm, outside of the one chick trying to run up on somebody with a fierro, but I ain't gonna really get into that. But for the most part, it's been positive. You even had a lady that's with the BLM call out other BLM movement members for not showing enough support, and basically asking them what's really going on. Like, are you really here to support, or are you going to do your own thing? And in fact, I can tell you where I saw the division, because you had the Hispanic community right here, and all the people pushing to have ICE abolished. That's the new one. It's not to have ICE release the kids. It's have them abolished, which that's never going to happen. But it's what we call wishful thinking, which is not going to do nothing, because I'm not going to get into that, because just for the simple fact, I'm not playing both sides, and I'm not one of those that be like, okay, well, I'm out of it. It's not about that. If that was the case, I wouldn't have been at both those protests, and I wouldn't have been at the other protests before that. But as far as abolishing ICE, that's never gonna happen. That's like saying get rid of the border control. That's never gonna happen. It's just, it's the wrong society and the wrong country. They're never gonna let that happen. But it's wishful thinking. It's nice to get out there and say things and feel as if your voice is being heard. And for the most part, when you take part in these particular protests, there's always a phone. If it wasn't for the fact there's so many phones and media outlets, you would be drowned out. As you can see, the Long Beach one, no media came out there outside of the newspaper, and that's because they didn't feel as if it was important. But yet the BLM movement happen, they're there in troves. This is the funny thing. They had a protest over something that was like silly. Like, it's so silly that I don't even want to repeat it, but the news were right there because they felt it was newsworthy. Now, as far as immigration, like I told people, you have to piggyback off of them. If you see the BLM movement drawing these crowds, you need to get up in there and push your agenda as well. If you know the LGBTQ community, hopefully I didn't say it wrong, but they actually were pushing their agenda at the same time, piggybacking off of BLM movement. And what happened? They just got a law passed, which was kind of funny because I never thought that they would go in the Constitution and actually change things, but they did, and it happened. And if you want things of that nature to happen, you got to get involved. You got to be able to reach across the aisles. If you can't reach across the aisles and communicate with people that may be a different color, you are always going to fail. The Democrats know for a fact you need the black vote. They don't consider the Hispanic vote really anything as of right now. But as the numbers start to swell, they're going to start focusing more on that side. So, there's a lot of things I can go into, but it's basically until you are at that level to where your voice, and you have like a strong voice and be able to get in there and they need you to shift policy, you're always going to be drowned out. So you have to do what you need to do in order to make your voice heard. And if in making your voice heard is not being a puppet and not being closed-minded and feeling as if I need to have my own thing because I'm pouting. But like I said, most of the people pouting on the internet about the mixing of races in these crowds pushing against ICE ain't even at the events themselves. Like, I've seen a lot that have talked a lot of mess, but yet you're not at the protest. You know what I mean? You're not pushing for your people. causing division amongst race is not going to help you get them out even quicker. It's not. You're not going to do nothing but how should I say, play into exactly what they want you to play into, and that's divide and conquer. As long as they can keep you divided, they're gonna always push a certain agenda. They figure, and it's smart. This is smart. If they let you out there long enough to protest, eventually you start bumping heads with each other. Like I said, there's a big part of the B.L.M that's separate from the other. They'll say it's togetherness, but I've seen it. Like, you witness it. You've seen, even in the protests in Long Beach, it was a division. You had the B.L.M over here, some of them intermingling with the ICE movement, well, to abolish ICE movement, but then you go over here and they were over here too, you know what I mean, doing their own thing. So it was one of those. It's like some of them got called out and I guess didn't like it, so they shifted, you know what I mean. And it's crazy because even at this protest there was like some crazy looking Caucasian girls, purple hair, whatever. And that's not to really talk mess or nothing, but they were actually staring at me like I was stupid, which I was like trying to figure out, like, which movement are you here for? You know what I mean? Or are you here because if you're here for Black Lives Matter, then you should be looking at me a lot different. And if you're here for the ICE, you should be looking a lot different. You should be a little bit more humble and understand that you're not in the presence of your friends. You know what I mean? You're in the presence of people trying to push a line, and and it's just the way it is. You know what I mean? It's like, give it a few years, it'll be something about America, and I'll be in that protest too, because look, this is what I'm gonna explain to somebody. Understand, when I say dark patriot, it has nothing to do with being black. A dark patriot is somebody that believes there is sometimes certain evils are necessary, and it may be to whatever, but it's just some things are necessary evil. Sometimes you don't tell people certain things because it's going to do a lot more damage, and you learn not to speak on certain things because it's not going to do any good. Now, as far as me being at the protest, like I said, it's about, not to me, it wasn't about abolishing ICE. It was just like, witness that we here pushing for these kids, and you need to figure out a way to get them out of there. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? Force their hand. That's what I was there for, and in support of my homies and their families, and all the gente that I run with. Now, as a black man, I was there as an extension of my race. You know what I mean? It's like, if you see me there, you still see a black dude. So either way, the media sees it. They're paying attention. So for all the blacks that actually showed up to the Abolish ICE movement, kudos to you. Shout out to you. You're out there being a part of the right side of history, but don't be a puppet. Don't assume that everybody out there is a Democrat or with liberal thoughts. Nah, understand, like, there's a lot of people that walk around woke, and I don't really assign myself to any particular side. I just got certain views, and that's just me, period. I don't downgrade another one because their views may not go with mine, but it's just, like I said, wake up. But before I end off, I just wanted to say this, man. And some people might take this offensive, but it's just real. It's something, it's like when you get to a certain age to where you actually pay attention to everything, you're not just closed-minded and feel that the way you do things should be right. Understand this, man, and understand this well. If it wasn't for the civil rights movement, none of these protests will be taking place. None of these protests will be taking place. So it's like, when you see a black dude, you know what I'm saying, you might not like the fact that he's participating in yours, or you might not like the fact that they're getting more, you know what I mean? But understand, man, people got hung, beat, and lynched for this, to have the right to speak the way they want. You know what I mean? The right to be able to do things, the right to be able to protest, be able to just have rights in general. It's because of the civil rights movement that a lot of this is taking place. So it's like, you got to be a little bit more. That's like somebody disrespecting something that, the homies did. And that's another thing. Stop making it about gangs. This have nothing to do with gang culture. This is about kids in cages. And by whatever means you need to go to get them out the cage within reason, you got to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but don't downgrade another movement because yours don't get as much view. I'm out there, and a lot of people that I know that really, pushing for it, they're out there. Where are you at? That's all I'm gonna say on that note. I'm your boy Zod. Enjoy the rest of your day. No snowflakes.